Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia, canvassing all across the state today, where today was the deadline to register to vote for the January 5th runoff. We will show you what Until Freedom was doing. We talked to Tamika Mallory, my son, Linda Sarsour, and others as they were going door to door, encouraging folks, checking to see if they were registered and encouraging them to vote as well. Also, yesterday was a debate with Kelly Loeffler and Pastor Raphael Warnock. John Ossoff debated an empty podium because Senator David Perdue, he was too afraid to actually debate. We'll show you the highlights from that debate. And of course, on Saturday, we live streamed and covered the rally with John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, which took place in Conyers, Georgia, where Portia Williams as well as Jermaine Dupree were there and encouraging folks to vote. We'll also show you some of that as well. And again, Joe Biden has been certified again as the winner of the Georgia election. Donald Trump keeps losing in court. The leader of a black militia, who, of course, we talked to on this show a few months ago, has been arrested and charged with assaulting law enforcement officers. We have the details of that. The family of 2-year-old Casey Goodson of Ohio says the police shot him 3 times in the back, but the cops are telling a different story. That's no shock there. In Louisville, Kentucky, a new report shows that police there disproportionately target African Americans with no-knock warrants. And also, there was a ceremonial signing today of a new law tied to Breonna Taylor. Plus, a 25-year study reveals that racism literally ages black people faster. We'll also give the latest on the COVID-19 vaccine and those numbers. Plus, comedian George Wallace is here to talk about his new book. Folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered from the great state of Georgia. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Folks, today is the last day for Georgia voters to register for the runoff election. Of course, it is taking place on January 5th. It will pit Senator Kelly Loeffler against Pastor Raphael Warnock in one U.S. Senate race. In the other U.S. Senate race, it is going to pick Senator Republican David Perdue against John Ossoff. Of course, they have been involved in a lot of heavy-duty campaigning, folks, over the past few months. Of course, not one person was able to get 50 plus 1% in November 3rd, so that's why it's going to a runoff. Already 900,000 people have requested absentee ballots to vote. Now, again, today is the deadline to register. Early in-person voting starts here in Georgia next Monday, December 14th. And already, folks, both political parties have been pouring resources into the state. You've also had various outside groups here as well. Over the weekend, of course, you had a big event taking place last night. That is the only debate will be taking place between the candidates. John Ossoff debated an empty podium because Senator David Perdue refused to show up. And then, of course, on the other side, you had Kelly Loeffler, who debated Raphael Warnock. All kind of different things were said in this particular debate. So let's do this here. Let's first off talk about that. First of all, I want to show you some of the highlights from last night's debate here in Atlanta at the Atlanta Press Club.
Private briefing regarding the coronavirus pandemic. You dumped millions of dollars of stock in order to protect your own investments. And then weeks later, when there came an opportunity to give ordinary Georgians an extra $600 of relief, you said you saw no need and called it counterproductive. Why do you think it's counterproductive to help ordinary Georgians in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, thank you for that question because I've been completely exonerated. Those are lies perpetrated by the left-wing media and Democrats to distract from their radical agenda. Since I got to the Senate, I've worked hard to deliver relief to Georgians during this pandemic, and I'm continuing to do that. But look what Democrats have done. They have stood for stonewalling relief that I voted for twice in the Senate to deliver relief to families, to farmers, to schools and hospitals. They're playing politics. That's what they're using their lies to cover up. The fact that they don't have a positive agenda to lift Georgians up. They want to defund the police, raise your taxes, implement the Green New Deal that would crush jobs and opportunity. And what I'm working on is making sure that we can get the economy going again, that we can drive forward after this pandemic. And I've been working side by side for my colleagues to make sure that we get that done, and we have delivered results. $47 billion that I brought here to Georgia saved 1.5 million jobs at small businesses.
Reverend, you have 30 seconds to respond if you'd like.
Listen, I do not want to defund the police, and Kelly Loeffler knows it. But she keeps saying this because she wants to distract from her own record. The truth of the matter is, were it left up to her, Georgians would not have received the $600 of expanded unemployment insurance. And they haven't seen any relief in months. And she hasn't done anything. She's done nothing to provide relief for ordinary people, the folks I'm seeing all across this state who are in pain in the middle of this pandemic.
Senator Loeffler, it's your turn to ask a question of Reverend Warnock.
Reverend Warnock, in your writings and your teachings, you've repeatedly praised Marxism and the redistribution of income. Can you here and now, for all Georgians, renounce socialism and Marxism?
Listen, I believe in our free enterprise system. And my dad was a small business owner. And during the Great Recession, you know what I was doing? I was leading my church to build a community center where, among other things, we had a financial literacy center that taught people how to repair their credit, create a 700 credit score community, how to create a business, how to buy a home, how to participate in our free enterprise system. Kelly Loeffler, on the other hand, was teaching the big banks how to hide their investments offshore in the Cayman Islands. This is how she spent her career before she went to the Senate. This is what she's been focused on now that she's in the Senate. She was only there 3 weeks. I'm not sure she was fully unpacked when she started dumping millions of dollars of stock trying to protect herself. And she purchased that seat. It's done well for her. The issue is that the people who sold it to her don't own it.
Reverend Warnock, you were arrested for obstructing police in the child abuse investigation. Can you tell me the nature of this child abuse? Why were the police called? What was your knowledge or involvement in this incident?
Sure, here are the facts, and Kelly Loeffler actually knows them. I was working and trying to make sure that young people who were being questioned by law enforcement had the benefit of counsel, a lawyer, or a parent. And the law enforcement officers actually later thanked me for my cooperation and for helping them. She knows this, but the question is, why is she doing this? It is because she has made a calculation that after being in the Senate for 10 months, she does not have a case to be made for why the people of Georgia should keep her there. She has been focused on the same thing she's focused on her whole life, herself. During the recession, she was helping billionaires like her hide their money in the Cayman Islands. She dumped millions of dollars of stock, played it down, and then when she could help ordinary people, she didn't do it. And the people of Georgia haven't seen relief for months. And so she's spending her millions of dollars focused on me because she has no case to make for herself. I think that's sad, but that's no reason for her to keep a Senate seat.
Now, prior to this debate, John Ossoff, he debated an empty podium because Senator David Perdue refused to debate. That's because last time the two went head-to-head, Ossoff completely embarrassed Perdue, where clips went viral from that. Here is what Ossoff had to say last night.
Well, it's a strange situation to be asking a question of a sitting United States senator who is not here to debate as he asks for the votes of the people to be reelected. Senator Perdue, I suppose, doesn't feel that he can handle himself in debate, or perhaps is concerned that he may incriminate himself in debate, both of which, in my opinion, are disqualifying for a U.S. senator seeking re-election. He may not wish to be asked questions, for example, about his trades in Regions Bank while he championed legislation to benefit the firm, or his trading of defense contractor stocks while he directed taxpayer dollars to them. But whatever the reason that Senator Perdue is not with us today, I think what I would ask him is why he continues to oppose $1,200 stimulus checks for the American people at this moment of crisis, why he fought against them in the first place, and why he isn't in Washington right now championing direct financial relief, stimulus checks directly for an American people who are suffering. If I had the opportunity to ask the senator a question, if the senator were not too much of a coward to debate in public, then that's what I'd ask him.
All right, let's go to my panel. Teresa Lundy, she is the principal founder of TML Communications. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, president emerita, Bennett College, and Joseph Williams, senior editor for U.S. News and World Report. Lord, I swear last night, Teresa, Kelly Loeffler, she was like a Stepford politician. Has anybody plugged her back in so she can recharge her batteries? Because she was truly a robot.
That was probably the best accurate portrayal of Kelly that I've heard since I've been tracking this on Twitter. Kelly has been keeping up with the talking points. Still president, that he won the election and he won Georgia. I mean, her presence there tonight, honestly, she probably should just bailed out like it, because her responses did not understand the underlying issues of what Raphael was saying, which was you bailed out on giving stimulus payments to those in need, $600 payments to those who need it the most. But then in turn, you made sure when you heard there was a pandemic coming, you then went to the stock market and made sure you had your own bailout in order. So I think, again, that's an oxymoron and also a contradiction of what, her presence there in the Senate is to do. It seems like her agenda was to protect the Republican Party, and that she did. She was a pansy for it, and it was absolutely shown to Georgia residents. So I'm glad they actually had that debate, but unfortunately, it'll probably be their last.
Radical liberal, Joseph. Radical liberal, Warnock. Radical liberal, radical liberal. She clearly wanted to call Pastor Raphael Warnock a radical liberal.
He was a radical liberal, I think she was trying to call him. I don't know. I mean, I thought that her repetition of that was just stale. I mean, it's just stale. I mean, there was no engagement on the issues, no response to his accusations that she sat on her hands while people in Georgia were suffering, which the record clearly shows that the Republicans had a bill from the Democratic House on their laps in May, and nothing happened. Kelly Loeffler is giving off a lot of entitlement vibe here, and I don't know if that's going to go over very well with the voters. I mean, certainly Raphael Warnock has a track record to speak of. She's got really nothing of that sort. I mean, he's got community activism, he's got a pastorship, he's got a flock, and that I think that flock will probably serve him well come Election Day. But if Loeffler's depending on those kind of attacks to work, I really don't see it happening.
And Julianne, the reality is him going after her and for her to say, oh, I was completely exonerated. Actually, you were not. Okay, it was short-circuited. Just like David Perdue is lying as well. And then, of course, last night, he really nailed her. Pastor Warnock nailed her. And when it came to Matthew 25, when it came to, of course, supporting African-Americans as well, she could not say anything that she's done for black folks in last night's debate. And again, it was, my name is Kelly Loeffler. I'm a robot. I'm here at the debate. This man is standing next to me. I don't know what to do. it sort of reminded me of one of those characters when Gilda Radner was on Saturday Night Live in the 70s.
Roland, first of all, this little Barbie doll lookalike who uses her hair for punctuation is unworthy to be on a stage with the Right Reverend and possibly wonderful Raphael Warnock. Number two, as my brother said earlier, you could ask her if the sky was blue and she would say radical socialist. So that was her mantra. That was her whole thing. Now, number three, let's really be clear about this crazy woman who has basically broken laws around stock investments. And Warnock called her out, but she should have been called out more about the ways that she's played with the stock market. That did not occur, and there have to be new rules about how people can invest in their own benefit to the detriment of the American people.
But Juliana, at any point did she even answer a direct question? When she was asked that question, when it was asked, should members of the U.S. Senate, members of Congress, be barred from trading stocks? She wouldn't even answer it. If you want any further proof that she did what she did, she wouldn't answer that question.
Well, Roland, and that was a key question. Now, we know that she has a mentor in that man who lives in the house that enslaved people built. And he, too, has kept his pecuniary interests under his pocket. But the fact is that this woman she paid for the Senate seat. She's paying for her own reelection campaign. She's paid. She's fought with her own WNBA players. She's called them trash because they have worn Black Lives Matter T-shirts. Warnock was dignified. He was a Morehouse man. And you know what they say? They say if you can see a Morehouse man, tell a Morehouse man, you can't tell him nothing. Well, you couldn't tell him anything except what we needed to tell him was kick her butt. He was just a little more gentle than I would have liked to see.
Well, here's the deal, Joseph. A lot of people have said this. And look, here you have a black man running against a white woman in Georgia. I think if you look at the commercials of Raphael Warnock, I think they are having to present him in a particular way in order to appeal to a wider swath of voters. And remember, when he was talking last night, I don't need to be lectured on the Bible. And so he had to be extremely careful because we know how folk get if you get real aggressive in correcting a white woman who's running for office, Joseph.
Well, and that's part of her strategy was to sort of paint him as the angry black radical, right? Running against this genteel millionaire Southern woman who owns a basketball team and has done the largesse of the community the favor of serving. Now, I think that's a ridiculous strategy. I think that Warnock definitely has to be presenting himself as non-threatening, because the optics are really not very good. If he does become very aggressive against Kelly Warnock, he does play into that stereotype, that old trope of the angry black man. And that was what a lot of that Marxism talk was about. I mean, you could practically see the imagery of him in a beret and black sunglasses with a black power. I mean, that's the image she wants to play to frighten the white Georgia voters into thinking that this angry black man is going to take their stuff away and is going to give it all to black people and redistribute the wealth. We all know that's not going to happen. What is going to happen, however, is that Warnock, by virtue of his position and of being an African-American man running in a state that Stacey Abrams has pretty much put on lockdown as far as turnout is concerned, will have that wind at his back. The question is whether or not it's going to be enough for hardcore Republicans and never say die Trumpers to heed the message that she is all that stands between them and utter chaos with Joe Biden and a black man representing Georgia.
You know,
Look,
Joseph,
Teresa,
I
here's the
much
deal.
agree with
Hold on 1 second. Here's the deal, though. This is the only debate. I don't believe for a second that this debate is going to sway anybody. This is going to be a ground game. This is going to simply be, can you hit the ground? Can you push your people? Can you drive your people to the polls? I think last night, Warnock's whole deal was do no harm. You've got third-party groups. You've got an opportunity to run as many ads as possible. I just think, Teresa, bottom line is that was a strategy last night, and I think he was effective with that strategy.
I agree. I think the team put a very comprehensive campaign plan together where, the angry black man doesn't work, the high propensity reverend voice doesn't work, and he was very calm. The ground game strategy is going to be essential. I believe all hands are on deck, and there are communities and organizations that are coming from across the country that are flying to Florida. The rates that, I believe there was an article earlier that talked about, the amount of airline flights that are doing round trips to Atlanta, Georgia. And the reason why is because people are understanding that they have crucial roles in order to flip the Senate is happening right here in these two races. And so if they don't put the strategy in place where Reverend Warnock, is not only grabbing some of those votes from those Republicans who just like, I'm sick of it. This party has to change, and let's see what the Democrats actually do. It's a small percentage, but it could possibly happen. But it will take, those friends and neighbors and those that actually understand the character of Kelly Loeffler, and what she has been bringing to the table hasn't been much for her party or will be much in the future.
Julianne, go ahead. You want to make a final comment?
I think that Reverend Warnock has a tremendous opportunity. I think that a lot of people are moving his way. I don't want us to play this as a national race because that's what gets Georgians' backs up. But I do think that this is really important. And I see sister organizations all over the country, Melanie Campbell, Latasha Brown, and others reaching out because the issue is turnout. The biggest challenges for runoff races in Georgia have been two things: youth turnout and black turnout. Now you have a young man, Ossoff, 31, 32, on the ballot, and you have a black man on the ballot. So people need to play that as hard as they can to overcome the history of low turnout.
Bottom line, folks, what we're seeing is, again, lots of attention here in Georgia. More than $250 million has already been spent on various ads. Third-party groups are also in the ground. In the next hour, we will hear from Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, and my son. They're, of course, with Until Freedom. They have been on the ground for 2 weeks here in Georgia. I caught up with them as they went door to door, leaving tags and also helping people to, one, helping them to register, but two, checking to see if they are registered. And so we'll show you that conversation in the next hour. Let's talk about a couple of stories out of Kentucky. One of them involves Breonna Taylor, but another one involves a brother who actually we found out about him as a result of forming or organizing black militias folks to go to Louisville, Kentucky. John F. Johnson, also known as Grandmaster Jay of the No Effing Around Coalition, is facing both federal and state charges for allegedly assaulting federal task force officers. According to the criminal complaint, in September, Johnson, quote, forcibly assaulted, resisted, opposed, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with Louisville Metro Police Department while they were on the roof of the Jefferson County Grand Jury building, keeping watch on Jefferson Square Park, where an armed protest took place. Now, Johnson was seen brandishing an AR platform, a firearm at the officers. Now, this is where it comes in. Johnson was arrested at the Westchester, Ohio home on December 3rd. He appeared before a federal judge in Louisville last Thursday. The FBI, Louisville Division, and Louisville Metro Police Department are actively investigating this particular case. The NFAC leader is set to be arraigned on December 8th at 1 p.m. in Jefferson County. If convicted, Johnson faces maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison. Speaking of Louisville, folks, over the last 2 years, black people living in Louisville, Kentucky, were the subjects of no-knock warrants more than anyone else. The Louisville Metro Police Department received court approval for at least 27 no-knock warrants from 2019 through 2020. 22 of those warrants were for African Americans. Jefferson County is home to more than 750,000 residents, with African Americans making up 22% of the population. Now, State Representative Attica Scott says policing has historically and continues to be racially disparate. Now, no-knock warrants were barred back in June after widespread protests took place over the death of Breonna Taylor. She, of course, was shot and killed in her apartment by officers who were executing a no-knock warrant earlier this year. Want to go to our panel. Actually, in a second, we'll talk about that. In a second, we'll talk about that whole issue of those no-knock warrants. This is not just an issue in Louisville, but also we are seeing how the protests have changed things. In Virginia, Governor Ralph Northam has signed Breonna's law banning the use of no-knock warrants in the state. The governor was accompanied by attorney Ben Crump. Take a look at what Benjamin Crump had to say today.
You have to understand, far too often black women don't get the attention and recognition that others get, not even brothers get, when they are killed in this manner. And so Bianca, her aunt, God knows before Lanita and Sam and I got involved, was out there fighting every day to say that Breonna mattered, that Breonna was special. Her little sister and her mother, Tamika Palmer, they called to the Louisville Police Department every day asking for answers. Every day, her little sister Janiyah posted on social media that Breonna Taylor was my sister and she was special and that she mattered. But nobody was listening, Madam First Lady, and so I was calling everybody, and one of the people Alan told me to call was this young lady in Virginia who I'm told was the youngest person to be elected as a delegate, and that she can help make it important in Virginia. And so I'm so grateful that you took the call and that you said that Breonna Taylor matters in Virginia as well. And I think about the arguments, Dr. Underwood, that I heard happen where people said in Virginia, nobody had been killed by a no-knock warrant. And I love you and Senator Lott's passionate response. Why should we have to wait until we have a Breonna Taylor in Virginia before we pass responsible legislation to prevent a Breonna Taylor from happening in Virginia? And that was better than any lawyer could have argued. So I thank you all for being lawyers in the legislative halls.
So for the folks who whine and complain about defund the police, Julian, this is a part of the fight, the battle for police reform, and what we have learned in the past 10 years, really with the advent of Black Lives Matter, is that change happens not just in Washington, D.C., but you've got to make a change. You are not going to have a single law that then changes everything else.
And Ben Crump talked about the brother who said, we don't want to wait for something to happen. Something has already happened. Something has been happening for 400 years. If we go back and look at the number of people who have been killed, it's massive. It's amazing. And so the issue of the no-knock warrant is nothing more than an extension of the police state to say that you can just bust into anybody's house anytime you want to for any reason that's real or specious. In the Brianna case, of course, we know they made a mistake. But we've had other cases where people had a digit changed and people's homes were busted into. So Ben Crump is my hero always, 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 because he just breaks it down. But the other breakdown is this. Let's not act like this is a 2020 issue. This is a 1619 issue. And that's the way I think we have to look at this.
Joseph Williams, I'm going to bring this other story in, and we'll talk about all of these things together. The family of a man, Casey Christopher Goodson Jr., is demanding an investigation to his death out of Ohio. On Friday, Goodson was shot by a sheriff's deputy in Columbus, Ohio. According to the deputy, he was investigating a report he filed where he witnessed a man with a gun. He then began engaging with Goodson verbally. At some point, the deputy fired his weapon, killing Goodson. Now, officials say a gun was recovered from the 23-year-old Goodson. Now, the deputy, of course, a 17-year veteran of the force, he was not wearing body camera, and the family says his version of the encounter doesn't make sense. According to Goodson's family, Goodson was returning home from a dentist appointment when he was gunned down by the deputy in front of his grandmother and two toddlers. The deputy then pointed his gun at family members and demanded they come outside. Family members say they saw Goodson's lifeless body laying next to 3 sandwiches he picked up on the way home. But they said he had no gun. Residents in Ohio are scheduled to protest at the Ohio State House this coming weekend. All of these stories, Joseph, go together. It goes to the issue of reform. It goes to the issue of training. It goes to the issue of accountability. It goes to the issue of use of force. There's a video that's out there online where I think it was in Ohio, if I'm correct, where a white man with a gun, and I'm going to try to find the video in a second, but a white man with a gun sitting in his lap, Joseph, disobeys the cops, asserts his Second Amendment rights, then drives off. That white man is still alive. I don't know no black man. You could be a black man in a Brooks Brothers suit with a U.S. veteran hat on your head, and I guarantee you, your ass would be dead if you pulled that. This is the battle we're dealing with, and this is why in that debate last night when Kelly Loeffler, you call police thugs. Yes, because there are thuggish cops. You've got cops who actually are gangs in police departments around this country. But there's a segment of people who are largely white who do not want to believe that the police need to be reformed.
Well, and I'll reach even further back to a story that you did on your show maybe last year, I think, about it, where these investigators went through Philadelphia police officers' social media posts and found tons of white supremacist material. Not even a little, not a few, but tons and tons and tons. This is an age-old story. The through line goes forever and ever. And the problem that we have here is that the defund the police slogan has been co-opted and has been weaponized by white conservatives. Let's just say that for what it is. But the second thing that we have here is that if you draw a through line through all these stories, you're drawing a through line through Philando Castile, who announced to the police officer, I have a gun, let me reach you and show you my permit, and he ends up dead in front of his girlfriend and his child. We have the case of the young man, Kyle Rittenhauer, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, parading up and down the street with a gun slung over his shoulder. Nothing happens to him, and we got a guy coming home with a sandwich, 3 sandwiches, and he gets shot down dead, and the police officer feels the need to point the weapon at his family. This is clearly a systemic problem that will not end until the systems are broken down. And those systems won't be broken down until we at least acknowledge that there is a problem. And the main root of that problem is racism.
Bottom line is here, Teresa. white folks are not having to deal with the same issue with police that black people are. 22 out of 25 no-knock warrants African American. The numbers do not lie. That alone, that right there, shows you how significant this is. That's what, 88%? 88% no-knock warrants black. Black folks make up 22% of the city. Hello, that's called disparity.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to be disparate along with the many other factors that happen when we talk about criminal justice reform. And you know, like Dr. Julian said, it started back in the day. It started when, you know, it doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter what we're wearing, you know, because essentially when the slaves owners decided to, for their slaves, decided to dress up their slaves for Sunday service, we were wearing our Sunday's best. We were wearing those beautiful striped suits and beautiful dresses. And still what happened? We were still up on the slave block getting sold to the highest bidder. So I think when we keep talking about, you know, what reforms need to happen, yes, we need to reanalyze what the police system is doing, but also looking at our legislators and saying, listen, what can you do, yes, to defund their budget? What critical steps are you doing and making sure that these instances are not just taking place only on one side, but also taking place, you know, hand in hand, looking for something else to happen. So I believe there is an opportunity here, but it has to happen with a holistic approach of, you know, expertise where it's like, look, the time is now in order to do criminal justice reform and not later.
Well, see, I want to make a real quick point if I
Absolutely.
can. I mean, you talk about elimination of no-knock warrants, right? No-knock warrants, yes, we're going to take those off the table in one state, right? 49 other states, as far as we know, they still have the capability of doing this. Number two, no-knock warrants are not a panacea because you have knock and announce warrants, which basically is once has been described as a police officer goes to the front door, knocks, and another police officer goes around the back and yells, "Come in." So getting rid of warrants, aggressively served warrants, are part of the problem too. Number three, we thought that body cams were going to be a solution, and it turns out that, oops, I didn't wear it that day, or, you know, the battery ran out, it's broken. So I think that it is a matter of systemic reform. It is a matter of reanalyzing and reinterpreting policing from top to bottom and making sure that we understand that these systems that have been in place for so long have been in place largely doing harm to one segment of the community.
Well, and that's why you're absolutely right. We don't see this whole thing as a panacea, but it's all different. All these different things are critically important to go to when it comes to changing. Now, this really does tell with my next story. According to the Family and Community Health Study, African Americans who experienced racism when they were younger also experienced aging at a quicker rate than those who hadn't. Over a 25-year period, a research team followed more than 800 black families and found black Americans live sicker lives and die younger than any other racial or ethnic group. The study shows how stress from racism, especially racism experienced at a young age, can impact an individual's mental and physical health. Now, Julian, these are things that we know because we've experienced this, but I'm tying this in with the last story. I'm tying it in with the police encounters. All of this goes with it. There is a certain level of anxiety and stress that you get when the cops appear in your rearview mirror. Look, in the case of Goodson from Ohio, the man went to a dentist appointment, picked up some sandwiches, and never made it home. Last night, we're going to play a video a little bit later. I was in Warner Robins, Georgia, where a black woman, a grandmother, talked about how her two grandchildren almost were killed when a white woman pulls a gun on them when they were in her yard. She says that her grandchildren are traumatized right now. This white woman is out on bail. She says they are afraid to walk out of the home. Those children have experienced racism at such an early age that will impact them for the rest of their life, Julian.
You know, economists and others have done studies about how long people live. And we match everything. Did you smoke? Did you drink? Did you exercise? We can explain about maybe 60% of the life expectancy differential by race and gender. But the part we can't explain is the part, Roland, that you've chosen to hone in on, which is the impact that racism has on Black people, on Black men and women, and the ways that we live our lives. What we see, and we all know it, I don't know a Black person, I don't know a single Black person. If anybody does, y'all let me know, who has not had one of those racism encounters that has really impacted their life in some way, whether it's a minor incident or a major incident. And so when you look at trauma, and when you look at what trauma does to you, you look at the ways that that trauma affects your heart disease, affects your blood pressure, and all of that. I'll tell you, I'm afraid of dogs. I am extremely afraid of dogs. Don't bring none around me. Because when I was 6, I was dog bit in Mississippi. And I live in a neighborhood that's gentrifying, and there are more dogs than the law allows. And I just crossed the street. And one of my neighbors said to me, he said, "You don't like dogs?" I said, "Hey, it's like I'm scared." Now, I'm not scared of too much else, but I am truly scared of dogs. It's a scar. That's a minor scar. It's not the end of my world. But we all are carrying scars of racism, and they show up in our life expectancy. They show up in our mental health. They show up in the ways we live our lives. And this is something that has been unaddressed. And so when we talk about things like reparations, a lot of people want to go to just money. Money is extremely important, and we want that. But we also want repair. We want to repair what has happened to our communities around the ways that our people have been systematically attacked.
I want to show right now that video. Again, we've given you the story of Goodson in Columbus, Ohio. Okay? Cop says he has gun, so-called altercation, he ends up dead. Watch this altercation in Ohio.
We don't want to do this, man.
Just get out of the car. I'm just asking. We'll get this figured out. Just come out and just get out of the car.
You release me now.
We can't do that.
Release it. I have Second Amendment rights, David.
Okay. Just get out of the car. Come on, come back here. We'll talk about it.
Excuse me. This right here is the reason to defend myself, cast a doctrine. You know that.
We'll get this figured out. Don't do it. Please. Just come on.
Get out of the car, sir.
Just get out of the car. Just step out.
The gun's down.
No, just step out. Just step out of the car. Don't do it.
Get out of the car. You're on double blue. You know what's going to happen, right?
Just stop.
You need to get out of the car. That's a lawful order. You're going to go to jail. A gunpoint. Oh, take me to jail then. Go ahead.
Just come on.
You're obstructing.
I can't.
No, you're obstructing. You're pointing a gun at me, sir. Right now, my life's in threat. Okay. Well, we have. I don't even see body cam on this, sir. I'm just going to drive away. I'm not going to bother anybody. No, you're Hands not. On the seat.
Don't do this. Don't do it. Don't.
Oh, wow.
Joseph, there is no way a Black man goes home alive. None, zero, zilch.
That is just stunning. That is just stunning. I mean, 30 seconds in, after the first get out of the car, after the second get out of the car, I expected to hear some shots fired. If that was a Black man, he'd have been dead. Even if you thought about driving away from the police, you better wake up and apologize if you dreamed about that. And this is ridiculous that it is an example. It is clear. It is unconvertible, undisputable. Even as much as the George Floyd video was, and it's just remarkable to me that this guy can just drive away when we see time after time after time Black people getting killed for lesser offenses.
Teresa, again, this white guy, Castle Doctrine. First of all, Castle Doctrine don't even apply in this case. He is throwing out Second Amendment rights, all this sort of stuff. First of all, if you Black and you start throwing out your rights, oh, hell, you're going to get clocked upside the head. But this is an example how white cops, when they approach white people, they are approaching them far differently and they're approaching black people. And it dovetails with this study in terms of the racism, the stress, the anxiety, and because you still feel that hours, days, week, years afterwards.
We just have to be honest. Most cops are approaching other white Americans as they see themselves and their family and giving them another chance and, giving them just a slap on the wrist or just giving them a doctor's note and saying, he'll be better tomorrow. But as soon as there's an African American in the car, we start talking about our rights. We start talking about our kids. We start talking about and asking questions of why I'm even getting pulled over. The first thing we get is a bullet. And I think, again, when we keep talking about what reform looks like, we have to, literally what Joseph was saying, talk about the issue of racism. People say, oh, I'm not racist. I have, black friends. But that it's also a major ignorance that even trickles down to our generation. And I'm talking about my generation, millennial generation, and Generation X. Part of it is when we're not having these dialogues about what racism actually is. And just because you show up, with your black brothers and sisters in arms during a protest, but then when you go home to your neighborhood, you're afraid to wear Black Lives Matter shirt, or you're afraid to confront racism when you see it, does not mean the problem is actually being solved. And thus we keep having these murders, we keep having these deaths, and we keep having these conversations. But again, in order to fix them, and find profitable solutions for every person, we have to put proper leadership and the right laws in place in order to make that happen.
Roland, one of the things about lynching...
Juliana, this is real simple. Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things about lynching is that people who were lynched, who had relatives who were lynched, and or who had property stolen, are often afraid and or ashamed to talk about it, even now. So you'll find people whose foremothers and fathers lost hundreds of acres of land, and they don't want to tell you about it. They're ashamed. They feel like they're weak. They feel like, and I do believe that that's part of the aging process, is that you're holding all of that stuff in.
No, you're absolutely right. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. More of what's happening here in Georgia. We'll show you last night's event that I partnered with, Black Voters Matter, that took place in Warnock, Robins, Georgia. We'll have that for you. Also, we'll hear from Until Freedom. They were on the ground canvassing to register people to vote, as well as the folks with the HBCU Green Fund. All of that next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia. We'll be back in a moment.
Trump can show up and say anything, and they can just go, oh, yeah.
And the African-American community was great to us. They didn't vote.
He just called you stupid. Did you hear that? But he's for us. Really? And they were just regurgitating the things that they had heard on a radio or in the barbershop or something that somebody had told them. They hadn't thought about it. Democracy is in danger because people don't know how to think. I'm done with trying to convince people to try to vote for their, for their life. You have to run for your life. I'm gonna go try to get people who are open to it and lead them. I'm done with hope. Fuck hope. Bye.
Love your neighbor as yourself. It's a value we all try to live by, but in Washington, it's been forgotten. It's clear our politics are broken, overcome by a selfishness that rewards money and power, leaving far too many of us out of the conversation. I'm Raphael Warnock, and I see you. I see too many communities left behind, too many hardworking people ignored. I'm running for Senate to be your voice. That's why I approve this message.
We're at Mom's Kitchen in Preston, Georgia. It's a family business. I enjoy making people happy, giving them a good meal. But since COVID, we had to close our main dining room. We lost all of that business, and we used to do a lot of caterings. We can't do any of that anymore. David Perdue knew what was about to happen. He was getting classified briefings about the pandemic. But instead of him being concerned about us, he off selling stock. We had no idea we'd have to close our businesses off. We'd lose caterings, and so many people died. And then when we needed help the most, he fought against the stimulus checks and to cut unemployment insurance. Purdue needs to come out and Ossoff in. Early voting starts December 14th. You gotta make a plan to vote.
I'm John Ossoff, and I approve this message.
The man who stood behind this pulpit was opposed by the powerful and wealthy. He was called a communist, that he hated the police and his movement would destroy America. They attacked his personal life and distorted his policies. Sound familiar? It should. The hateful voices of old Georgia are back. They attacked Reverend King. Now they're attacking Reverend Warnock. It's disgusting. It's wrong. But with Mitch McConnell and Kelly Loeffler, it's no surprise. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Carl Payne pretended to be Roland Martin. Holla!
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Matter package ready. Folks, as I said, today is the last day to register to vote here in Georgia, and the campaigns of Warnock and Ossoff, they have been, of course, canvassing all across the state, but also many other unaffiliated groups with the campaigns, third-party groups, advocacy groups. They have been here. One of those is Black Voters Matter, of course, co-founded by Latasha Brown and Cliff Albright. Last night, they held a dinner and debate watch party, drive-in watch party. It took place in Warner Robins. It's about 2 hours from in Atlanta. I partnered with them, and so here is some of last night's event.
Warnock is cool, and Ossoff is cool. But here's the deal. What's on the ballot is this, y'all. This Senate race is not just about who has 50 votes and who controls the Senate. This is what's on the ballot. We need to be clear. What's on the ballot is the George Floyd Act. And whether or not we can get action about police violence, that's what's on the ballot. What's on the ballot is the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And whether or not our voting rights are going to be protected even in a state as they are right now, trying to discount our votes. That's what's on the ballot. What's on the ballot right now is COVID relief. And whether or not our communities that have been decimated by this virus, whether or not we're actually going to get a relief that supports black businesses, because we ain't getting nothing out of the last relief package, right? What's on the ballot is whether or not we get a real COVID relief package. These are the things that are on the ballot. Our lives are literally on the ballot. So everybody here has a role to play in building power, and I believe that we are going to do. I need somebody to say real loud, say, I believe. Say, I believe. Just gather your people of war and arise. Let's do this, y'all. I love y'all.
My grandson, Caleb Barnes, and his friend, Ethan Hollins, were riding their bikes in Peach County, Georgia, in our neighborhood. A lady by the name of Patricia Compton decided that she was going to pull a gun on my grandson and his friend. Patricia Compton was arrested for pulling a gun on my grandson and his friend. She went to jail. They hit her with 6 counts. They hit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 2 counts. They hit her with child cruelty, 2 counts, and terroristic threats, 2 counts. Now, everybody is telling me that Patricia Compton is not going to do time, that those charges are going to be dropped to misdemeanors. But I say not so. Not so. My grandson is 12 years old. His friend is 13. They're babies. My grandson cried and begged Patricia Compton for his life. He told her, please don't shoot. I'm a kid. And you know what she said? She said, why are you crying like a little baby? Go home and tell your mama why you're crying. She showed absolutely no remorse. I want justice for Caleb Barnes
My name is J. Mel Hill, and I was your congressional candidate for the 2nd District. As candidates, all candidates owe it to their constituents. They owe it to the people that put them in the office to talk sensibly about the facts, not opinions. To speak about actual and foreseeable issues. We know COVID was here. We knew our children were going to have to depend on learning through the internet. We should have been prepared. This is America. This is the greatest nation on the earth, and we deserve everything that we have put into America. We built America, and now we just want what is coming to us. Those politicians owe it to us to discuss the various problems and dangers that plague our nation, that plague our communities, that plague these 12 and 13-year-old black boys who can no longer go out on the street and play because people feel like they have power and privilege. We have that power, and we have that privilege. Do you know how we show that power and that privilege? We show up to vote. Do you understand? Right now, I'm working on an initiative. It's called Fresh Voices Matter. We are gearing towards the 17 and a half and 18-year-old children who aren't civically engaged because they've been told that it doesn't matter. Y'all, Fresh Voices Matter. We're going to get in the streets. We're going to make good trouble, and our voices are going to be heard because the time is now.
Black Voters Matter will be doing a lot of these type of events all across Georgia between now and January 5th. Teresa, this is critically important because what they are doing, they are going after and reaching people that, frankly, campaigns don't want to reach. They're really going to be focusing on these rural parts of Georgia where you have significant black population. They're looking at the numbers to see where African Americans turnout, where African American turnout was not as high as it could have been, and going to those particular places, encouraging them. They also had a caravan as well. So what they did is, so we arrived yesterday, and one arrived was around 3 o'clock. The event was at 6 o'clock. They got there around 4 o'clock. And so what they then did was they took the Black Voters Matter bus, and then they traveled throughout different neighborhoods, encouraging people to come, passing items out, and then came back to the event. Groups like Black Voters Matter, they've been able to raise the resources and the dollars to be able to do these things all across the state and the country. And that is needed. That on the ground, boots on the ground activism is how Georgia got flipped and how Biden was able to win the state by less than 12,000 votes.
And it's refreshing to see because, these are the type of organizations that we all need to be supporting, going into our wallets. And if we don't have any financial help, we can take our bodies and make sure that we are present and in the moment and picking up the phone and sending out text messages, because these people, and especially other organizations like Black Voters Matter, are doing the work and are putting in the work for others to be a part. I think one crucial thing that this organization is doing is actually that message of pragmatic strategy of what it takes to win. So they are including the public in what it takes to win, but also what they have to lose if they don't put in, their vote, but also their support for what they're trying to do there in Georgia. So I think it's just phenomenal. I think it's great. But I think it's also amplifying other organizations to do the same. So, there's not one organization that can take the reins, but there are many that are now coming together and doing events. Logos are popping up on every flyer. And I just think it's amazing. It's just great.
Joseph, but again, historically, we've had organizations, Joseph, that were on the ground, that were really doing the work. And again, it's about engaging with people who otherwise get left out. Look, campaigns are all about, frankly, an 8-week, 10-week, 12-week window. They're not about the daily grind of being able to reach people. What Black Voters Matter is doing, what Until Freedom is doing, what many of our social activist groups do, especially many groups that are local groups, people who are in these cities, in these counties, in these states, they're doing it every day. They are invaluable when it comes to elections because look, Desmond Meade and I had this conversation, and he talked about there in Florida, how the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, how they were able to go into public housing complexes, to go into neighborhoods that were high poverty, that were high crime, and then go to those places and reach those folks. He said, well, other people were absolutely scared to death. That's how you flip cities, counties, and states. You got to do the work.
That's exactly right. And the work pays off. You called it. Joe Biden won the state by a razor margin. But at that time, there were still votes out there that hadn't been harvested. There were still places that Abrams and her machine had not reached. And this is an attempt to reach those places that, quite frankly, a lot of them hadn't even been asked to participate. It's not a matter of them not wanting to vote. It's a matter of them, nobody asked them and nobody told them how they could do this. So it's really an amazing operation, an amazing series of operations that are going on to try to reach those people, because if you do the math, this should be a very high turnout election for African Americans. And that, again, is going to buoy the hopes of Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. They're going to be dependent on black votes. And honestly, black votes have been the story of this election. Joe Biden left for dead in South Carolina, resurrected on the strength of an endorsement by Jim Clyburn and by the black vote. He gets a favorable tailwind in Georgia and flips a state that hadn't voted Democratic since Bill Clinton ran for his first term. So inexorably, it's going to be efforts like those. It's going to be reaching voters who have not been reached before, to try to not leave any votes on the table. I believe that's going to make the difference. If they're successful, it absolutely is because of that kind of an effort.
Julian, we talk about not leaving votes on the table. Again, Biden wins Georgia by less than 12,000 votes. That means that 500 votes in Athens, 1,000 in Warner Robins, another 1,000 in Albany, another 1,000 in Columbus. You start adding these numbers up, that then becomes the margin of victory.
Precisely. And it's interesting because, as our colleague has said from U.S. News and World Report, really it's about going down and looking at every single vote. Last week, I interviewed Jamie Harrison. He has started a new PAC called the Dirt Road PAC. It's really interesting. So the Dirt Road PAC is because he went down a dirt road and a man said to him, no candidate has ever come to speak to me. No Democrat, no Republican, nobody. You're the first one who's come to speak to me. And therefore, I'm going to vote for you. And this is the same thing that we're talking about when you go to the dirt roads in Georgia, when you go to that last vote in Valdosta, when you go someplace and let folks know that you really care about them. We all have gotten into this high-tech world where we're all used to getting like 10 emails a day or more, saying pitch in or chip in or something, and that's all cool. And some of us have the means to do that. But we're going to get, topped off at a minute, like, okay, this is a third email a day. No, I ain't chipping in no more. But that's not the issue. The issue is, how do we get people who have not been voting to vote? And it's not the electronic media. It's not these television ads. It's really going door to door and face to face and engaging people. And what I love about the work that LaTosha Brown does is that she really gets down up in it in terms of making sure that communities understand that she wants to be with them. So it's not just about the vote. It's like, what do you need? And that's what we have to do. And that's what we've lost in civic engagement in the era of the internet.
And that's a fantastic point. What do you need? That's a question that not a lot of people get asked. And it certainly makes a difference in politics. Somebody cares about you. They care about what you want. They care about what your community needs. It can make a big, big difference.
And in fact, joining us right now is Felicia Davis. She is the director of HBCU Green Fund and Sustainability. And Felicia, we were talking about this very issue again of folks out there being active, going door to door, sitting here trying to get people to register. You and some of the others have been doing that work as well here in Georgia. Talk about it. How's it been going?
Oh, absolutely. So I am intensely focused on the south side of Atlanta, which is Clayton County, where we are 75% Black on the south side. So from the general election until today, we have focused on canvassing. It wasn't all that we've done, but we went from having 30 people knocking on doors on the weekends during the general election to now we have 50 people knocking on doors every day, at least 5 or 6 hours a day, 5 to 7 days per week. So, and I am proud to say that our workers are paid $20 an hour. So that's what happens when the resources pour in. So with that, we did lit drops. We're trying to hit every single home in Clayton County. Now we also divide off. We do some things in Fulton County and some things in DeKalb County and elsewhere. But Clayton has been kind of a secret place in the shadow of Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb County. But we are solidly Black, often overlooked. So we need to turn out. And in fact, we got attention because on the horizon, when that absentee ballot count was coming in, they said, oh, Clayton County, and they saw that it went 75%, 85% Biden-Harris before they got to absentee ballots. So that's who we are down here. But I think there is no important following up on my good sister, Dr. Julianne Mal. It is personal contact. For a new voter, found it 7 times. So that means you can't touch them and keep saying, get out and vote, because they have a legitimate question, vote for what? And so our answer, vote for yourself. What do you need first? What do you want second? And then we connect how it is, what they need connects to them getting out to vote. And whether it's a young person or an uninspired person, that answer they can relate to. Now, it may or may not get them out the first time, but it leaves something on their mind because we to turn out not just in presidential, not just in a high-profile Senate runoff. We want them to be engaged in the school board, in the city council, and their mayors, the district attorney, so we can say, hey, voting connects to what judge will be the decision. So that's the way that we rolled out, and we have Black Women's Roundtable doing a tranche. We have Black Youth Vote doing a piece, and now a new effort, Black Male Initiative, and they actually have a QR code that they ask brothers a survey question, and the very last question is, will you join them and volunteer and do some work in the community? So we have a powerful effort going on the ground that's really mobilizing our communities, because we are suffering and hard hit. We are essential workers. People are suffering from COVID. We can't get up close and personal. So at the same time that we're canvassing, we're leaving PPE. We're leaving sanitizer. We're leaving a mask. We even have a poncho in case it's raining when it's time to vote. We have a snack in the bag. Because if you're hungry on the other side of the door, you know, my knock gave you a food bar. And they're not so tasty when your refrigerator is full, but if you were hungry at the moment, they taste mighty good. And we leave a small bottle of water. So with all of that, we have a caring effort as we are knocking on doors and trying to get this vote out.
Felicia, as you were talking, we're showing the video, some of the drone footage last night from Black Voters Matter being there in Warner Robins. And again, having these drive-in events, your point about talking to people, you're absolutely right. In a moment, we're going to play a video. We went out, the folks with Until Freedom were out there as well. And he talked about that there were people who, they had to really talk to them and answer their questions. And they had to spend, not just, hey, pick up this flyer, but literally, walk them through why this matters. And some folks who might say there's too much work, but every single one of those votes will count come January 5th.
The other thing, Roland, when you step to people, letting them know, first of all, they matter. They matter. So we are taking the message to people saying, you matter. I had somebody come to work with me today, Roland, with 3 children in the car and a busted window. So now I said, sister, what you're going to do is take your babies home, get them situated, and can you post some things online? Because she matters. So I said, and let everybody know they have to vote. Did you vote? Yes, I voted. Are you going to vote now? I'm going to vote again. But it is caring about our community. And first, when people understand that they matter, the people that matter vote. It's very simple. So that's how we bump up to LaTosha Brown's message of Black voters matter. It's not Black votes matter. The voters themselves matter. And we are delivering that message every place, whether somebody votes or not. Let them know that they matter, and if they understand how much they matter and how important their vote is, then we can get them out.
You ready? Felicia, we certainly appreciate it. We thank the work that you're doing with the HBCU Green Fund, with the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, Black Youth Vote as well. Y'all are out there. We'll be chatting with y'all again as y'all are going across this state. Again, today is the registration deadline in Georgia. But early voting starts, and so people don't realize that y'all work ain't done. The end of one phase, which is the registration, now is getting them out to vote early.
Yes, and thank you so much, Roland.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Folks, earlier today, we also caught up with the folks with Until Freedom. They were out in these streets in Atlanta. It was very chilly in Atlanta today. 45 degrees overcast. That wind was blowing 20 miles an hour, so it felt more like it was in low to mid 30s. But that did not stop Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, my son, and others from being out here and encouraging people. First of all, checking people's registration, talking to them about the power and impact of voting. And so here is that.
You know, we at Until Freedom like to work with low propensity voters. That's what they are called. We believe that they're actually high propensity voters if properly engaged. And so we're out in the communities where you obviously, if you look around, you don't see many people out here with those big budgets registering folks. But we're out here making sure we've already registered a few people, making sure folks know about the runoff, understand why they need to show up at the polls, and just engaging our folks.
Right. So one of your folks there, so what she's doing now,
he's working. This young lady said she needed to check her registration. She wants to make sure her registration is still in place, and he's helping her right now using his smartphone to check her voter registration.
So how long have y'all been here?
So this is our second week in Georgia, but we've actually been, throughout the entire election process on the road across the country.
Hold on a second. Hey, y'all ready to vote?
Yeah.
Y'all good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. All right, just checking.
Yeah, a lot of the younger people are registered. That's what we're finding. Black women are very receptive. They want the information. If they don't have it, it's Black men where we struggle the most, and we have to have the most conversations. And my son spends a lot of time talking to the folks in our generation and really trying to help them understand, because they have been sucked into the narrative around Trump being a better choice for us, or even if a worse choice, but we need to keep somebody who's going to keep us engaged and somebody that will make us mad so we can do the work. And that's obviously a narrative that is extremely dangerous for our community. So he spends time out here debating with everybody and really getting into it. And that's what we do. Just having presence out here. We believe that one of the most important things is to make sure that our people feel loved and engaged, so that they don't feel like we're just saying, y'all are not voting and we're frustrated with you. No, we understand that there's a lot of trauma. People feel hopeless. And so we have to actually bring them in and make them feel important.
Well, the point you made about in terms of what these black men are. Look, in 2012, I kept telling everybody, there was a 9-point gap between black men and black women for Obama and Romney.
Right.
It went to 13 for Trump. Then it went to 20 this year. I kept telling people, look, when you saw 9 and 12, that was with it because there were a lot of black men who felt that Obama didn't do enough.
Right.
I said, y'all, that thing is real.
Right.
You can argue all day,
Right.
but you better have a plan to deal with that because that then impacts everything that goes below the presidential race. So U.S. Senate, congressional races, DA races, whatever. So the talk has to be directly to black men. I think a lot of people don't focus on that. And there's been so much intensity about black women, black women, black women, that my deal is like, no, you got to have specific messaging.
Absolutely, for black men.
So y'all,
and we've been spending time like going to the strip clubs, catching brothers before they get in. You know, not after they come out, because it don't work. It don't work after they come out. But before they go in, so we've been in Georgia specifically last weekend. We went to some of the hottest clubs, the areas where everybody was out. It was warmer, lots of people out, and we specifically focused on black men, you know, stopping them and talking to them.
So when the people got mad at the sisters who put that video together, take their booty to the polls.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, oh my God, this is offensive, this is demeaning to black people. But they were like, look, we gonna hit folks no matter where they go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what they do every day. So why not use where you are? They say use what's in your hand. Right. And those are their people. That's their demographic. And so they stood and they talked with those people in the language that they understand. If it's not for you, don't listen to it. And for us, a lot of people say, you going to strip clubs? Absolutely. Those people have families. They pay taxes, some of them. They go to school. They have their children in school. They buy groceries. People been shopping. Okay. Some better stocks.
So my son, I was just talking to Tamika about with the discussions you've been having, and she said you've been having debates with a lot of these brothers trying to get them to understand. Just talk about that, what you've had to do and how much extra you had to put into it to get them to understand why they got to get registered and vote.
Well, you know, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge that I understand.
Right.
You know, black men dealing with so much different trauma. We have trust issues, and rightfully so. You know, this system has never really done anything to rectify things that we've gone through our history. We're overly incarcerated, killed. We're dealing with a lot of different issues. So when you tell them to vote for a system that they've never really seen change, it triggers them. But what I explain to them is that, listen, regardless of what you think is going on, there are consequences for doing nothing.
Right.
You know, if we sit there and we allow these people to continue to move, and we looked at Trump's presidency and we realized he was moving towards, you know, where he was going to be a dictator. He was moving towards dictatorship. We watched him roll back laws. He was putting in different judges.
Look, right now, he only got 40-some-odd days. He's trying to put to death 5 people and several African-American just for the hell of it. They are literally racing to execute folk before he gets out because he got the power to do so right now. That's literally what they're doing.
And when you talk about that, that's evil. It's a white supremacist mind state that has kept us enslaved, that has utilized the 13th Amendment against us. And he was focused on really putting in policy and putting in place something that will completely roll back our civil rights. So to acknowledge that, and then we can acknowledge what happened with Joe Biden. We can acknowledge the crime laws. We can acknowledge the crack. Those things actually happen.
Right.
So I'm not mad at you when you talk about that, but I'm talking about imminent danger. When we're dealing with imminent danger, you know, I understand I understand the pushback, I understand the pain that we're dealing with. But when we look at, it's not the lesser of two evils, it's just voting for a better opponent.
But that also was 1994.
Exactly.
This is 2021.
20 years ago.
So the thing now is, to me, in terms of where we are, if you got this race right here, Ossoff Warnock wins, it's a 50-50 tie. The reality is, what I keep telling them is the George Floyd Justice Act, passed by the House, can now get signed into law if Ossoff and Warnock wins and the Dems hold their deal. If they don't win, there's no chance it gets passed.
Exactly. So those are things that I tell them too, is that we understand the reality of what we're dealing with. So you have to be involved in the process. You have to understand. We realize what this administration did give us nothing. We've seen them take away our civil rights. We've literally seen them take away our rights. So we got to do something different. That's my motto. Like, we need something different. So the more that we put these people in a position to actually be able to make change, we still gonna fight them every day. We with them every day. We're gonna be on them to make sure that they hold to the end of the bargain. But we know that we got a better chance of winning with this administration than we had before.
Last night, y'all were all gathered. Y'all were live tweeting the debate last night. Get over here, Linda. Y'all were all live tweeting debate last night. How crazy is it what you heard last night from the robot Kelly Loeffler?
Oh, man.
You mean the Nazi Barbie? I mean, this lady is outrageous. Really. She really is outrageous. And people only heard like probably 1/100th of the type of bigotry that she has. I mean, she was using dog whistles all night. She doesn't know what socialism is. She has no idea what Marxism is. She's just using buzzwords to instill fear in people. And the idea that she kept on calling Warnock the radical liberal, the whole entire radical liberal Warnock. First of all, there's no such thing as a radical liberal.
That was all poll tested. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And she just kept on with her messaging. So we also have to. We had a debate about this yesterday, Roland, that she's doing her job because she is appealing to her base and she's talking to her people, right? We always have to water down what we're saying because we want to try to appeal to people she's trying to appeal with and bring them over to our side instead of saying, let's expand our people.
Right.
She didn't water down nothing of what she was saying.
Right.
She was fired up last night. Even as a robot, she was a fired up robot. So I don't know. I just want people to know that we're going to still fight, but we need these 2 Senate seats. So regardless of how you felt that Raphael Warnock did last night, Georgia, we need you in these streets. We need you at the polling sites. I know Reverend Warnock. I went to seminary with him. We're in a interfaith fellowship together. He's an incredible human being who truly believes in dignity and human rights for all people, and he's going to be a great senator for sure.
I had to explain to people one of the reasons why he can't go hard, and we got to be honest, when you're a black man running against a white woman
that's
in Georgia,
absolutely.
He has to walk a very fine line, which is why I think his commercial looked the way they look, and that's what happened.
Yeah, she tried to bait him a few times too, because she said, "I don't need to be lectured by you." So she was trying to get into that kind of dynamic. Yeah.
So there you go. Now, what he would have said is, what you need is a Bible study.
Right.
But that would have been great. Well, I'm going to ask you this here.
Yes.
Everybody can see you.
This is true. It's pretty bright.
You want everybody to know
what we out here doing.
Precisely.
Today's the last day to register to vote. It's important for Georgia to get out.
He did this for you, Roland. That's part of your logo.
I mean, you like cloud, rain. Y'all gonna see me.
Listen, orange is a powerful color. That's right.
We want to thank Tamika, my son, and Linda, and all the folks with Untold Freedom for all the work that they're doing. We got some breaking news. Tomorrow, Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, is going to name as his Secretary of Defense retired 4-star general, excuse me 1 second, folks, Lloyd Austin, as his Secretary of Defense. Again, that is a huge decision there. Lloyd Austin retired a couple of years ago. He is one of the few African Americans to ever ascend to the rank of 4-star. He used to head the Central Command, the United States Central Command, a major military leader. He, of course, someone who we had on our show talking about the issue of COVID early on. And so here is, so you should be able to see right now.
All the agencies in the government have to
when
work
Lord
together
Austin was
under the direction.
Retired 4-star General Lord Austin, when he was on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Again, he is someone with an impressive background in military, spent a number of decades serving in the U.S. Army, but he is going to, this is let me tell you something, a serious individual with an impeccable resume, a commanding man, and so it is, that is a major deal there, Joseph Williams, that Joe Biden has chosen for one of his significant national security positions, Lloyd Austin, to be in that position. There were a lot of people. They were talking about Jay Johnson, who was under the head of Department of Homeland Security under Obama. But Lloyd Austin becomes the first African-American ever to be the Secretary of Defense for the United States. That is big news there, Joseph.
Yes, a big shout out to Joe Biden, who's actually keeping a campaign promise here with this one. He said that he was going to create a cabinet that was as diverse as anyone has ever seen in the history of the United States. And this was a significant pick. Not only do you have one of the first African-American 4-stars in the U.S. military coming aboard as the Secretary of Defense, but you have someone with impeccable credentials, as you said, somebody who is almost guaranteed to get conferred by the Senate and who will bring a different perspective to this job. So I think it's a major pick. I know that Biden was under some pressure over the last few days to continue picking minorities for this position. He was under pressure to get picks, an African-American for one of the big four. And this is a big one. So I think that people can look to this as a sign that Biden is trying to keep his commitment to African-American voters. The question remains whether or not this continues on with the rest of his cabinet picks.
You have a significant number of African-Americans who have served in the United States military, Julian. A number of those folks. You've had black 4-star generals. We've had many of them on our show as well. But to see an African-American ascend to become Secretary of Defense, remember, retired 4-star General Colin Powell, he served as National Security Advisor, also Secretary of State. You had Condoleezza Rice, who was Secretary of State. But you've never had an African-American over the nation's military. That is a big deal. When you talk about a presidential cabinet, of the top 4 positions, if you will, when they're making their picks, frankly, Vice President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense ranks among the top 4 positions of any presidential cabinet.
You know, that's what the challenge has been, is to make sure that there were African Americans in the statutory cabinet. And the statutory cabinet does not include economic advisors. It does not include EPA. There are 12 cabinet positions that are laid out, and this is one of the top 4. So this is extraordinarily significant, and it also does speak to Biden's ability to choose as he would. There was enormous pressure for white women to choose a white woman who had been involved in defense issues. I was just watching something earlier today where we were told that, you know, this woman had more experience than anybody else, you know, with all the neck rolls. And I forgot the woman's name.
Yes. You're talking about, now I got Michelle you, Julian. You talk about Michelle Flournoy, who served in the Obama administration. And there were a lot of people who were saying that she could become the first female Secretary of Defense. Lloyd Austin, retired 4-star General Lloyd Austin, will become the first African-American Secretary of Defense under Biden.
But, you know, the tension that this white woman put out there, the commentator, was frankly to me offensive. She basically said that black people had gotten ahead in the military more quickly than women had, so that women needed the greater claim. I just hope that as Brother Biden attempts to build a diverse cabinet, that we don't set constituencies apart from each other, although we already see some of it. African-American versus Latino, women versus African-American. And what we have to trust Joe Biden about, and I say this uneasily because, you know, Roland, I don't trust white folks but so much. But what we have to trust him about is a judgment to balance this cabinet. And I think so far, I'm willing to do that.
Teresa.
It's about time. We've always been at the front lines of defense, and now we have an African-American leader who will be telling us where the defense needs to go in order to protect the country that we built. So I think it is going along with Biden's and Kamala's plans in order to diversify their cabinet, but also it gives the American people hope that change is, yes, coming, but we have a president that is listening and a cabinet that is willing to do the work on day one.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're talking about a huge budget. Frankly, the United States spends more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. And so it's going to be a very tough job there for retired four-star General Lloyd Austin, but he certainly can actually make it happen. So we look forward to that announcement. It could come as early as tomorrow. Folks, got to go to a break. When we come back, more on Roland Martin Unfiltered, including comedian George Wallace with his new book. That is next. And also, young sister, 53 years old. She starred in the movie Baps, as well as How to Be a Player, dead today at the age of 53. We'll tell you about that. All of that next. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Live from Atlanta, Georgia. Back in a moment.
When the going got tough in business, David Perdue outsourced American jobs overseas.
In a deposition, Perdue testified he spent most of his career outsourcing.
You made a career out of outsourcing. How do you defend that?
Well, defend it. I'm proud of it. When the going got tough in the Senate, Perdue hid in the airport bathroom and even stole someone's cell phone who asked him a tough question.
I stole my property.
When the going got tough with COVID, Perdue hid critical information while selling his own stocks.
Records show that Senator David Perdue bought and sold stock shortly after a private Senate briefing on the virus.
It's not just that you're a crook, Senator. You're attacking the health of the people that you represent.
Now Perdue won't even face his constituents, backing out of debate after debate.
Enough incompetence, deceit, corruption, division. Change has come to Georgia. Change is coming to America.
Georgia needs a real senator, not a chicken Perdue. Midas Touch is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
I'm John Ossoff, and too many are struggling to afford prescriptions. One change in the law would make a huge difference. See, Medicare is America's biggest buyer of prescriptions, but the drug companies bought off Congress, and they made it illegal for Medicare to negotiate lower prices. It's straight up corruption. Fighting corruption is my job. I approve this message because I'm not taking donations from corporate PACs, and I won't let the drug companies rip us off anymore.
We told them the smear ads were coming, and that's exactly what happened. You would think that Kelly Loeffler might have something good to say about herself if she really wants to represent Georgia. Instead, she's trying to scare people by taking things I've said out of context from over 25 years of being a pastor. But I think Georgians will see her ads for what they are. Don't you? I'm Raphael Warnock, and we approve this message.
It's a great opportunity to really seek the truth and the facts and learn about the real Kelly Loeffler.
I'll jump right in. Federal records show up to $3 million in stock sales in the weeks after a private coronavirus briefing.
While still reassuring citizens that the U.S. was prepared.
You thought the government was prepared, yet you sold over $1 million in stock. Were you trading on inside information about what was coming?
What date was that meeting? She sold these stocks on the day of the briefing, right after it happened, perfectly timed.
Both you and your husband, who runs the New York Stock Exchange, have said these were conducted by third-party advisors. Who were these advisors, and what regular communication do you have with them?
We have an employee in our personal family office that intermediates between the advisors.
Not only did she sell a lot of stock, she bought a stock which benefits from a software that helps teleworking, people that work from home.
Man, that's shady.
I'm more upset that these people could have acted more for the American people than their stock portfolio.
Right now, from what I'm hearing, I'm not seeing a big need to extend the federal unemployment insurance.
Do you have any regrets over how you conducted your financial dealings over the past several months?
Not at all.
I'm Deion Cole, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
All right, folks. Legendary comedian George Wallace has released a new book. Title is called Bullwit and whatnot, the online ramblings of George Wallace. That's pretty much what George does a lot. The book focuses on his Twitter rants. Trust me, and it's not just his Twitter rants. He will actually use these rants in a text message. I have been on the receiving end of many of them. Joining me now is the great man himself, George Wallace. What up, George?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am doing very well. I'm here in Atlanta. How are you, Roland?
Well, hell, I'm in Atlanta. They didn't tell me you won't be in Atlanta. We should have done the interview together. Well, then again, now, you're real old, so COVID might affect you.
I'm leaving this house. I am not leaving this house. I've been here since March 14. I ain't going nowhere. You understand me? Nobody comes here. I go nowhere. I'm scared. And I don't think the people in Atlanta got the message. Have you seen how many people running around here without a mask?
Hey, George, look, I'm serious. First of all, I got 2 masks. I even wear the goggles. And what I don't quite understand, George, do people not get what I call nonverbal messages? What I mean by that is when they ask step close, I back up. And I back up more. And I'm like, why you keep moving forward? Back your ass up. Social distance.
You're like me. Speaking of social distance, I sent you a photo. Do you have me on top of the roof? Do you have that photo of me on top of the roof?
Yeah, I sent that. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me airdrop this to my iPad so I can show y'all this whole crazy. I told y'all the stuff George sent me. Y'all thought I was lying. Y'all, George, let me airdrop this photo to my iPad right now so I can show y'all. Anthony, let's get ready to switch this. For some, y'all, I'm telling you, George, I'm gonna go ahead and put it up. For some reason, it's I'm telling y'all, George sent me stuff, and he sent me this photo talking about he on top of the roof. I said, y'all, this man ain't got no doggone sense. Talking about he practices social distancing. Let me see if I can pull this thing up. So George, you ain't left home at all, huh?
Listen to me.
You ain't left home at all.
Roland, my daughter stopped by to see me the other day. I live on the top floor, right? That's my balcony. I'm waving at her ass. I told her that's the closest she's gonna get. Keep moving. Keep moving. Social distancing. That's me waving at her from the 25th
this is the
floor.
photo George. Y'all, this is the photo George sent me. So George, that's you. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I. Yeah, that looked like you.
That's me waving at my daughter. She wanna stop. She's in the parking lot across the street. And I said,
your daughter.
Hello, keep moving.
That's the closest she could get.
Keep moving. Social distancing. Keep moving. Listen, I'm so concerned about this, Roland. I'm trying to stay 6 feet away from myself, from me. I don't trust nobody. Okay. I moved the mirror out of my bathroom because it was too close to me. I'm crazy.
So George, so this book is about this book is about your Twitter rants. When did you join Twitter? How long you been on Twitter?
In 2011 or 2009. The reason I did it, I didn't want to join because I'm thinking, now why would I give away my jokes for free? Okay. And plus, this is a different type George Wallace humor. You got to get these jokes in 140 characters. Now it's 280, okay? So I'm doing better now. But it's just little online ramblings of me talking about things I would do. Today, I had a shout out to the top 5 lots in the world. You know, you got your play lot, you got your sand lot, you got Sir Lancelot. And somebody wrote in, I love the reply. Somebody, how about Charlotte? So it's so much fun. That's what I do. It's just online ramblings on stupid stuff I would do. Because I'll straight up, I'll eat cupcakes out of a pan and pancakes out of a cup. Because I do stupid stuff like that. I don't play by the rules, Roland. I don't play by the rules. Well,
I am with you.
Roland, I will eat an English muffin in France and French toast while I'm in England. I don't care. But it's called bull twit. Not bull wit, bull twit.
Oh, bull twit. I'm sorry. My bad. I could, I wasn't quite sure. The bull twit.
Roland, I couldn't say what I wanted to say. Bull twit. Bull twit. You get it? Bull twit. That's what it's all about. And it's online.
Yes, George.
Listen to me. It's online. This is the only book I have. I don't even have it yet. You should have one coming. And it's $19.95. And you get this with georgewallace.net. Roland, George Wallace, I be thinking. I did not go to Amazon.com. They take half your money. I want you and everybody in your family to go to georgewallace.net, okay? georgewallace.net. It makes a great book for Christmas gifts. And it's only $19.99, and it's a quality book.
You want all the money. So are you personally mailing them out yourself? Because see, that means you got to go to the post office, George.
At my office. I'm in Atlanta, but my office, my fulfillment center is in Las Vegas at my office. But it's a quality book. The quality of the book is actually better than the jokes. That's how good this book is. Look at that. A glossy book. You can enjoy this. And there's so many funny things in here. And the foreword is written by my funny friend, Pat Oswalt. I did get into trouble. My best friend, Jerry Seinfeld, wanted to know why did he not write the foreword of the book. Well, Pat Oswalt loves my tweets, and I said, okay, you write it. And Seinfeld, some people don't know it, talking about this because a lot of people don't know that's my best friend for 45 years. A lot of people don't know that I'm actually the real George on Seinfeld. Did you know that, Roland?
Yes, I know that. George, you forgot you and I sat down for a one-on-one interview when we were in Los Angeles before the Image Awards.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I was his roommate for 13 years. I'm Seinfeld's roommate for 13 years. I was best man in his wedding, and I'm the father of his kids. So people need to know that. So, but what we're talking about today is not this book. You got one already?
Look, I'm going to get a book. I got my panel here, Teresa, Julian, Joseph. I know they got some questions for you. They get to ask one question. And so I'll first start off with, let's see, we'll go with the person who is closest to you in age. So, Julian, you get to ask George a question first.
Wait. What do you mean the closest to my age? Now, Roland, you know for a fact, I started doing comedy in 1883. So that's how long I've been doing comedy. Okay, young lady, go ahead.
Well, so we got close at all. But I love your Roland ain't right, and neither are you. But where does your humor come from? What makes you make us crack it up? I cracked up through the whole conversation with you and Roland. Where does your humor come from?
It's just funny because, I don't know. I'm just so blessed, I don't want to crack up here, but I'm the most blessed person in the world. God gave me a passion to tell jokes and make people happy. I wanted to be a comedian since I was 6 years old, and God has blessed me, and I'm going to choke up right now because all I do every night, I come out on stage, the place is full, and all I do is just lie. I just lie. I just love telling lies. I just thank God. I ask God every night, let me be the greatest BSer in the world. I want to be the greatest BSer in the world. But right now, Donald Trump is kicking my ass in the bullshit department. You understand what I'm saying? So I try to come up with humor. I wrote a letter the other day. I told Donald Trump, please don't come to Georgia. We already have a virus here. We got 19. We can't deal with 45. Do not come to Georgia. But he came down here with his...
Thank you for making me laugh for the last 15 minutes.
But what you need to do is get this book, George Wallace. It's called Bull Twit and Whatnot. And Roland, it tells you about me growing up here in Atlanta. And I was so poor. We were so poor we could only listen to the Pips. We never knew there was a Gladys. We never knew about Gladys until about 10 years ago. That's how poor we were. No, you laugh if you want to. Let me tell you something. This is true. We used to watch Sons. We never knew about Sanford. We didn't know. Listen, I knew Red Fox, but I didn't know he was Sanford. Bro, this stuff is true I'm making up. This stuff is true. People, let me tell you something. Bro, when we were so poor, people used to break into our house and they go, oh my God. And they would bring us furniture. They would bring us... There is something wrong with me. You got to get a copy of this book. Get it before Christmas. It goes under your tree. I'm sorry. I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
You're right.
Next
There is something wrong with you. Next question. It goes to Joseph Williams.
I hear you got a book. You have a book coming out. Is that right?
Didn't I just tell you I got a book called Bullshit? Are you watching the show or not? That's some bullshit right there. Go online. You know what? People are coming on. I just want you to listen. A lot of people don't know about the Twitter language. It's a different language. So it's a different type of humor from George Wallace. But it's called Bull Twit, and it's so great. GeorgeWallace.net. Go online right now. I'm getting so many. I think I'm already sold out before. The book hasn't even been released yet. But go online. If it crashes, you go back. It's a great Christmas gift. It's a quality, very expensive book. It's only $19.95. But if you buy 5, I charge you $120 just for the hell of it.
Now, are you still performing? Where are you performing these days? Are you doing online stuff? Are you in club? I mean, what's going on? I mean, how are you getting it out there?
It's Twitter. Twitter's on every day. Do you tweet? It's on Twitter every day. Go to Twitter right now at Mr. George Wallace. It's on Twitter. I was voted. There's something wrong with you asking me a question like that. Listen, I was voted top funniest 25 tweeters in the world by Rolling Stone magazine. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
The number one funniest
No, we didn't know that.
I was voted the number one funniest tweeter by Playboy magazine. I didn't even know they were still in business, but I was voted. Bull Twit.
Teresa. Yes. Teresa is the youngest person on the panel, George. George, she one of the, I think, Teresa, you call yourself a millennial or a Gen Z?
I'm a millennial, okay? I'm not that young.
Okay, I can't, George, I can't stand millennials or Gen Z, so it don't matter. So Teresa, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Roland, they are different, aren't they? They just do stupid stuff. I'm at McDonald's the other day, and I said, can I get a hamburger? The idiot Gen Z says, you want cheese on that? I said, you stupid nut, did I order a cheeseburger? I ordered a hamburger, and I want ham on it. There's something wrong with them, Roland. There's something wrong, but you know, I should call in every once a week. I got so much to talk about, so much to talk. And guess what else happened to me? I'm going to church. I'm trying to become I want to stay a Christian comedian because I don't cuss a lot, right? But I want to cuss. And I wrote a joke about, I guess a year ago, I met a guy named Waka Flocka Flame.
Oh, yeah.
Waka Flocka Flame. It's not cussing, but it's close enough, isn't it, Roland? Roland, everybody listen to me. Just say Waka Flocka. Waka Flocka.
Waka Flocka.
Hey, Roland, I'm at church yesterday.
I wish a Waka Flocka would.
That's what I said.
I wish a Waka Flocka would.
Listen to me, Roland. I was in church yesterday, and the bishop walked up in the pulpit. I said, look at this Waka Flocka walking up.
See that again? Is a Flocka Muffa?
And yesterday was the first Sunday. Yesterday was the first Sunday. It's you can go to church in the parking lot now. And they had communion. Ooh, that's some good service. You can have real wine in your car. Real wine. And who the hell come up with grape juice for communion? Grape juice. What did Jesus do, Roland? You know the Bible. Your wife knows the Bible. Jesus turned water into wine. Didn't turn it into no grape juice.
Right.
That's what happened. They were sitting there eating many years ago. Jesus and his 12 disciples. They were sitting there, apostles. They were sitting there eating. Jesus said, who brought this grape juice? Who brought this grape juice in there? He said, this is the Last Supper.
Teresa, what's your question for George? Teresa, what's your question for George?
You know what? I don't have a question for George. All I'm going to say is I'm going to go get the book. I'm going to go, educate my fellow millennials. We're going to laugh. We're going to tweet. And this will be a good book that'll be on the back of my shelf for my new book spotlight. So thank you.
I would like to be on your show, too. It's called Bull Twit, GeorgeWallace.net. Now, a lot of people buying both books. A lot of people are still buying this book right here, Laugh It Off. So it's pretty good. I'm so blessed. But Bull Twit is the next book, and there's more Bull Twit where that came from. I talk Bull Twit all day.
I think I do, too. So and I'm going to get the book.
You get that book, okay? Because I don't play by the rules. You know what, Roland? I pick my teeth with an ice pick, and I pick ice with a toothpick because I don't play by the rules. You see, I'm different. I'm different. I'll take a refrigerator magnet. Go ahead.
Well, I gotta ask you, George. You live in Georgia. I gotta hear what you got to say about that robot Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue running against John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
Listen, I'm the first one 3 years ago. I told everybody in Georgia, vote your Ossoff for John Ossoff. Vote your Ossoff for John Ossoff. I started that 2 years ago. Now, listen, Kelly last night in that debate, I wish I could have been on. I mean, I would have said, turn your face to the camera and tell the people again, lie to them once again. You know me. You know I'm a minister, and you say I'm a thug, and I denounce police, police. You know what I'm trying to say. I would have said, turn to the camera and lie once again.
Yeah, we know.
You said three times that I'm a thug. Now they'll turn to you, and you know I'm not a thug. I'm a minister. I'm a person of the people. You just keep lying, okay? And you're not one of us. Everybody in Georgia, you need to know this lady has over $500 million, and she ain't one of us. Damn!
That would have worked.
You better believe it. I want to tell her, look in the camera and lie to the people. Because I said, Kelly, look in the people. Look in the camera. Now, see, America, you're not only going to represent Georgia, but you represent America. She's lying to you right here on camera. That's what you want in Washington, D.C.? Bam, come on. And then I would have said to her,
George.
Yes, sir.
Now, George, you know a black man can't get that aggressive with a white woman in Georgia?
Well, then he could have said to her, I just forgot a good joke. Can you believe that? I'm getting old. Like, where's my Prevagen? I need Prevagen. I need some Prevagen. You know, because I'm starting to forget stuff. Next question. Anybody else?
I gotta answer this here, George. I gotta ask this, George. So they're saying that Trump is going to run again in 2024.
Trump is a con man. Trump is just taking these people's money. He's raised over $207 million. He's just taking their money. He may not even be around here. Trump, he keeps talking, and he calls it the China virus. We should call it the Trump mumps. That's what it is. Listen to me. He will not run in 2004. We're going to be just fine. Biden's going to be fine. America is good already. We feel good already, don't we? Look at me. I'm wearing my. This is not a ugly sweater. This is just one of my. This is just one of my regular sweaters I wear every day. But it's not as ugly as your other sweaters.
All right, George. So George, all right. So I want you to imagine you're shooting a commercial, and you're trying to tell people to vote for John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock. And so let's just say it's a 30-second commercial. I'm going to time you. I'm going to see how good you are. I'm going to see how good you are with this here. So somebody out there, we know, of course, today's the last day to register to vote. We know, of course, early voting starts next on December 14th, next Monday. And so, all right. So let's say this is a George Wallace political commercial that would run on television. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. This is Crazy George Wallace, and I want you to know I'm here. I'm a fellow Georgian, and I'm all about progress. And I tell you what, always go with youth. Always go with the youth, people that you can associate with. John Ossoff, as I say, vote to Ossoff or John Ossoff. This guy is so smart. You heard him yesterday debate. Reverend Warnock, a good friend of mine, a minister. You know he's not a thug. He does not want to defund the police officers. He's telling the truth. So you need to get out and vote because your vote is powerful. You can vote. People from America, you still can vote with your dollar. So do me a favor. Call in right now. Go to georgiasenate.com. Vote. Help us change America. And that's right. We can change America. I'm George Wallace. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Let's do this.
Bam.
That was nice. That was a 51-second, 30-second commercial. So way to go.
That was not 51 seconds.
You're right. It was 52 seconds. 52:01. That's what it was.
Hello, everybody. This is George Wallace. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go vote on January 5. Let me do it over. Okay, how about that? That's 5. That's 10
Go
seconds.
ahead.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, once again, everybody. It's me, Crazy George Wallace, and you know me, I'm all about happiness, and that's what I want you to be, a proud Georgian. I'm born and raised here in Atlanta. We call it Wakanda. You know, there's so many black people here. It's so many black people here in Atlanta. Africans get off the airplane, they go, whoa! And you know, but it's not only about black people, it's just about good people. All the people in the rural counties and the red counties, we're for everybody. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm for Georgians. I'm for everybody. So vote on January 5 for Warnock and Ossoff. It's Ossoff. Get your ass off your butt and go vote.
Get Ossoff your butt.
4307, but I'll take it. George, what's the name of the book?
Take 3. Hello, everybody.
All right, last one. Third time is going to be a charm. All right, here we go.
No.
3, 2.
Bull twit. Okay, 3, 2, go ahead. Hello, everybody. This is me, George Wallace. Have you had enough bull twit? Have you had enough bull twit in your life? This is me, George Wallace, telling you how you can make a change in America. You need to get out and vote, especially here in Georgia. You can make a change. January 5 is your day to vote, especially the young people out there and all you people in Clayton County. 80,000 black people did not vote from Clayton County. You can make a difference. You know you can do that. Let's make a change. Come on, everybody, let's get happy. I'm George Wallace. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. 30 seconds, bam.
Boom! 29.78 seconds. I told you, third time is a charm. George Wallace, way to go. Tell everybody you said the name of your book more. You said the name of your book today more times than Kelly Loeffler said radical liberal Warnock. So tell everybody the name of the book where they can buy it.
And look at her. She's just a big liar. Oh man, I wish I had been there. But I love you. Hey, Roland, and all those other people in the studio, make sure you keep laughing, because when you stop laughing, you stop living, okay? I can't wait to go back to work. I haven't worked since March 14, but I can't wait to get back out there.
All right, George Wallace, my man, always good to chat with you. Glad you were on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and we're gonna sell some copies of that book and make it a bestseller.
Bulltwit.net. Bulltwit.net, and I'm doing it on my own. Like I said, Amazon.com takes all your money. This book here sold over 10,000 copies through me, so I'm doing it again. I'm my own man. I do it my way, okay?
I feel you. Well, Joe, hey, George, I know. That's same for my show. It's me, independent, and that's how we do it.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to get in the studio live with you. Are you really in Atlanta?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta. I'll text you the address. I've been in Atlanta since Thursday. I go back tomorrow, but I'm back here next week. So we'll actually be in Atlanta for all through January 5th.
Well, that's so good. I hope you're having fun in Atlanta. If you can't laugh in Atlanta, you can't laugh anywhere. We got a place in Atlanta called College Park. You ever heard of it?
Of course.
No college and no park. I don't know. There's something wrong with these people in Atlanta. Hey, Roland. We got 2 birds in Atlanta can't fly. We got the Atlanta Falcons and the Atlanta Hawks. They can't fly at all. I call them the Chick-fil-A.
George Wise,
I call them the Chick-fil-A Falcons. You know why? They both are closed on Sunday.
Speaking of Chick-fil-A.
Oh, you're going to get us in trouble by the Atlanta people. George, I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Bulltwit, go online right now. Bulltwit.net. 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 I almost said it.
Yeah, all right, George. I appreciate it, my man. Thanks a lot.
Somebody better send me a check. I know that. Thanks my ass. I need a check.
We're going to buy your book.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's a deal. Let me put on another program. Yeah, let me put my goggles on, because I gotta be protected up in here. You understand what I'm saying?
But you at the house by yourself, George.
I don't trust
All right, y'all. No, y'all kill the music. I got a last final story, please. Kill the music. George Wallace, I appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
You're a good man.
George, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, George.
Don't forget to watch me every Thursday night on Simple Works, okay? Every Thursday night on Simple Works at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye. See you. Oh, that's
I got you. I appreciate it. All right, folks. George is... George is, of course, a crazy man. Folks, some sad news. A sister, we saw her in a lot of different comedies. Baps, I also saw her in How to Be a Player. Natalie DeSalle Reid passed away. Of course, Baps came out in 1997. And, of course, she also played the sitcom Eve. She passed away today of colon cancer. She was 53 years old. Death was confirmed by Jacarius Johnson, CEO of Jacarius Entertainment, which had been planning a stage adaptation of Baps. He said in a statement, quote, "It was with great sadness and heavy, heavy hearts that Jacarius Johnson and the entire entertainment family mourns the passing of one of our own, our sweet, unforgettable actress, comedian Natalie DeSalle Reid." In fact, her family, she had a recurring role, of course, in For Your Love with Holly Robertson Pete, as well as a role in Medea's Big Happy Family, along with rapper Bow Wow. She appeared in a number of roles over the years, including ER, Yes Dear, and Family Matters in 1997. She also played Minerva in the ABC musical Cinderella, which starred Whitney Houston, Brandy, and Whoopi Goldberg. And in fact, I'm going to do this here. So I'm going to pull this up because actually her family, it wasn't Jacarius, her family actually announced her passing, and it was, so they released a statement, and I'm going to see if I can pull this up for it. It was, like I said, she, of course, this is what they said. It is with extreme heavy hearts that we share the loss of beautiful Natalie this morning from colon cancer. She was a bright light in this world, a queen, an extraordinary mother and wife. Her diverse career touched so many, and she will be loved forever. Naturally, we are grieving and processing this profound loss, and we thank you in advance for respecting our privacy at this extremely difficult time. Natalie DeSalle Reid was 53 years old. Again, passed away from colon cancer. Folks, that is it for us. I'll be back in studio tomorrow, but we'll still be, of course, covering what's happening with this Georgia runoff. Lots of stuff. Tomorrow, I will also have for you the interview that I did with John Ossoff, talking about this race and what he wants to do if elected to the United States Senate. Don't forget to support what we do here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Every dollar you give goes to support this show. And so please help us all that you can by going to Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo.com /RM Unfiltered. You can also, of course, send us some money. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Then, of course, you can send a money order to New Vision Media, 1625 K Street Northwest, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. All right, folks, that is it for me. Broadcasting live from Atlanta. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Ho!